Welcome to the Media Bubble Podcast, the podcast that talks about all geeky media related stuff. I'm Karol, he's Fredrik, let's get the show on the road.
Well, okay, welcome to this episode where we're going to talk about, or me specifically, is going to tell Karol about an comic book run that I once upon a time read, which is X Factor, or how you can sometimes call it X Factor Investigations. Just to make sure this is not the TV show X Factor, it's a comic based on, or that is kind of a spin-off of the X-Men franchise.
Yeah, you kinda made it weird for me because when you started talking about the series with me, I was like, wait, like the TV show? What are they doing there? Like, but no, I get that this is a comic now.
Yeah, the X Factor name existed before this. That was a comic in like the 80s or something like that. And what this creator, Peter David, kind of did was that he took the name and some of the character and kind of made a new spin on them. And Karol, you were not supposed to do that.
I am just checking the images, but I still lack context, so it should be fine.
Um, well, anyway, so this comic book run is one of my favorite because in most American comic book superheroes kind of stuff, it kind of feels so like open ended with the comic, but this one I feel has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a whole lot of shit that happens between.
Yeah, that's the feeling I usually get from the comics too. Because, like, you don't know when the comic will be either cancelled or, like, on hiatus. So you kind of have to leave it open for the readers to speculate.
One thing that I feel about this is that while the writer is always the same, the art changes a lot in this comic, from going to very dark shadows on their faces to no shadows at all, and it shifts quite a lot, but the art is still good every time, I would say. But this is a comic book run that ran from 2006 to 2013 and written by Peter David for 140 issues. And the first thing I'm going to explain are the characters. So if you slide to the second slide, Karol.
Slide to the next.
Here we have the main kind of group. The team kind of swift members a lot in the run, but these are
the main ones.
No, these are the characters that have been a main part of the team at some point.
Is there a point in the series where they completely switch out the team, as if there's no like original member left?
No, there probably is always an original member always in the team. They kind of swift in and out because a lot of times when a character leaves, they later come back.
That's pretty cool, actually. That's so that even if they're not with them at the moment, they can still be relevant later.
So we have the main character of this series, Jamie Madrox's Multiply Man. All of these are mutants, or at least mutant related. Jamie Madrox's Multiply Man, he can make duplicates of himself, and one thing about when he makes duplicates of himself is that the duplicates gets a different personality trait of his into that duplicate of him.
So once he duplicates, that part of him is in the duplicate, or does he still have that part of himself?
Well, I'm not quite sure of that myself. That is one thing that I feel like it doesn't explain too well. I'm not sure if he has that part still in him or if that part has gone out. But he uses his duplicates in a variety of different ways. Like
Wink,
he
wink.
has a big knowledge of different things because he has made his duplicates read a lot of different stuff and things like that. So a reason why he 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 can afford the building that they're working in is because he won it on a TV show where he knew all the answers because his duplicates have through the years given him a lot of knowledge.
So what I'm getting at, so what I'm getting is, once his duplicates absorb the knowledge, he also gains it. But what happens with the
Yes,
duplicates? Do they die? Do they vanish? Do they like assimilate back to him?
they kind of vanish, I guess. They what I can understand when they're getting back to him, they kind of disappears from what I can understand. Um, he also has created a lot of duplicates where he doesn't know where they are, which comes a little bit around in the later part of the stories. But a reason to why I really like this character or these main characters is that he made me discover a part of myself actually, and that is he even though he's the leader of the team, he has a very hard time of making decisions or important decisions at the moment. He has a hard time choosing, which I kind of when I read that I kind of discovered a part of myself where I noticed myself that I have the exact same problem. I have a problem of choosing different things.
Well, yeah, because I also remember we kind of spoke at this on our off time how it can be hard. But I think like in the case of this character, it's kind of ironic because he's the probably the single person who can do all of the decision at the same time since he can duplicate himself.
Mm. To make a decision, he usually takes out some duplicates of himself and sees what their personality is and kind of decides on that.
I would not like to have this power.
Um, it gets a little bit more complicated later on that I will explain to you. Let's see, the other member we have Therese Cassidy, which is the daughter of Sean Cassidy, Banshee. Her powers is that she can make sound waves through her mouth, and but
So she
with
can
those
talk. Okay.
with those sound waves she can break things and she can also fly with it.
How does she fly? Does she just fly with her mouth open?
Yeah, kind of.
What if she gets a fly? What if she gets a bug?
Well, she kind of jump flies.
Okay, makes more sense.
Her personality is, I don't know, it's kind of the standard female lead character of this series, I guess. And then we have Richter, who in the first issue of this series, he is contemplating about killing himself.
Ooh.
Because he has lost his mutant's powers because this comic book series started kind of just around the corner of something called M-Day. I think that was, or No More Mutants, which is kind of an event where 90% of the mutants lost their powers.
It feels to me that this was a ploy to like call some of the mutant super people in the series. But go on.
Yeah, but anyway, so he feels a bit down. He will later on get his power back, but how I can describe him as a character, I kind of feel like he's more the straight man than the main character, to be honest.
I think without powers, he that's the only position that will grant him any respect.
Mm.
Also, he's like the only one that's most vulnerable now.
Yeah, as I said, he would later get his powers back, which is kind of earthquake kind of thing, but yeah. Next one we have Strong Guy, and yes, that is his name.
To the point. I can get behind that.
His powers kind of explanatory. He's really strong, and he's kind of has a humorous personality, you can say.
So he's a jokester. He's a funny guy.
Well, not really, but things he says sometimes can kind of be funny. He doesn't really crack out jokes, but he's not. But he's kind of like still the.
He's the.
I guess funny.
He's the heart of the group.
Not really, to be honest. But he still kind of gets the kind of funny.
No, but you see,
moments.
You see, because he's the heart, because because heart is a muscle, and he has lots of them.
Well, you are going to understand later that he probably isn't, but sometimes he gets comedy from not understanding completely a situation.
Oh, so like Drax of the Guardians.
Sometimes, but I feel like this guy is a little bit smarter.
All right.
He's not dumb. Then we have Wolfsbane, which is a mutant who can turn into a wolf.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I feel like.
Yeah, she is Scottish. She believes a lot in God. Yeah. Then we have Monette, or M, I guess she's sometimes called. She's a bit of the sassy character, I guess.
Yeah, she does not wear a bra, from the picture that I see.
Strong personality, kind of egotistic in some way, kind of annoys the others sometimes, but she has a caring heart.
She's the asshole with the heart of gold.
Yeah, you can kind of say that. Her powers are that she can fly and she's super strong at the same time. She's kind of the strongest character of them all, I think. And then we have Layla Miller, which is a kid that knows stuff, you can say. She always kind of tells a little bit about the future right before it happens to other members, but she can't say the whole truth to them because she still needs the things to go on.
So she's like the. She's the future, like she's future proofing the story, kinda. Like she's leading the events so that everything happens to the plan.
Yeah, kind of. And she's a kid. Yeah. One of her future prediction is that she will later in the future get married to the main character, Jamie Madrox.
Does he know about that?
Yeah, he knows about that. He doesn't believe her because she's a kid.
Yeah, that's weird. Like, if a kid tells you, like, oh, I'm gonna marry you, I see it in my dreams. Like, no, you're a kid. Stop.
Then we have Shatterstar, who is kind of energetic and doesn't always think things through, I guess, but he loves swords. I can say that.
Wait, which I'm looking at a picture. Wait, let me step away from the mic. Which one of them is this? Is this the guy with 2 knives or 1 knife?
2 knives.
Oh, so he's
the one with the white jacket.
Yeah, so he's kind of like the Wolverine.
Yeah, in some way, but he's kind of a more fun personality. He's kind of always happy-go-lucky guy, you can say.
Okay, so he's kind of like the hothead, not playing by the rules, but he's...
Not really, but in some ways, yes, you can say.
Okay, so who's the cowboy?
Well, that's Darwin, and his powers are kind of that he can adapt to any situation he is to better survive in that situation.
So
he has a bit of a nervous personality, I feel like, but yeah.
So what do you mean by adapt? Like change your...
His mutant's powers is literally that if he is in an environment, his powers kind of gets so that he can be good in that environment.
So, for example, just from the picture, if we were to drop him in the Wild West, he will become a cowboy. But if we will drop him in kind of like old Scandinavia, he'll become a Viking, and he'd be good at it.
Maybe, I guess. his powers are. I kind of feel like his powers is a little bit random at times.
Kind of, yeah, but I feel like, I mean, I haven't read the series, so it can still be a cool power. It's just like kind of vague, but maybe that's on purpose.
And then we have Lung Shot,
Look at that
which
jaw, so square.
which his powers is that he is lucky.
He's the Nagito. He's the Nagito Komaeda of the group.
And I guess he kind of lives by that luck. He's a kind of always happy and yeah.
So when does he die?
Well, later on in the story, Carol.
I kind of guessed with this ability.
Well, him and Shadow Stars, they are not really mutants. They come from a different planet, which is called the Mojo world, where it's kind of a planet where there's an evil lord who makes them fight the different battles. And a little bit later on that, I guess.
What?
Then we have Polaris, who is the daughter of Magneto, and she has the same powers as Magneto with magnetism.
And she's a superhero.
Yeah.
How does her dad feel about this?
Well, I don't think he really cares that much, to be honest, when I think about it.
It'd be hilarious if he's just like, oh, it's just a phase, or like, she'll grow out of it, or like, I'm a supportive father. I'll just let her do what she wants.
Well, Magneto is good sometimes, so...
True, he's a complex character, but it's like, mostly, he's still like a supervillain. I'd categorize him.
And then we have Pip the Troll, and one thing that every character has in common is that no one really likes him. He kind of is he kind of is annoying, and no one really wants him there, but he kind of decides to stay by himself.
So, what's the reason for them letting him stay? Like, if nobody likes him?
Well, they can't really get rid of him.
Why? He's just a kid, right?
No, he's kind of a middle-aged man, if you can say that.
That's even easier. Like, just tell him there's like
he has a power which makes him so that he can track where everyone is, kind of.
I mean, yes, but I also have Google Maps on my phone, so he's replaceable.
They don't really want him, as I said. He's kind of there, just.
I get it.
Well, and what I'm going to talk about now is I'm going to talk about one kind of event that happened throughout the beginning run of the series, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about one specific story. So if we switch to the next slide, as we talked about, Jamie Madrox, he has he can create a lot of different dupes, and sometimes he doesn't know where those dupes really are. Like one becomes a S.H.I.E.L.D agent, and another trains to be a really kind of Batman-esque detective for years, and another one that he has lost track on becomes a priest, and doesn't want to be found by Jamie, to be honest, because he has created a life for himself. He has created a family. He has a son, which when Jamie comes and try to collect him, he interacts a little bit with the son. He claps him on the head and things like that. And Jamie decides to not take him back and let him live his life.
So, do the clones have the same ability as him, or are they just regular people?
They're kind of just regular people. Jamie, I think, is the only one that can multiply.
Because it's insanely funny that his superpower is just, I can make more guys come. My power is just some guys, and I can make him appear.
So, in in a next event, what starts to happen is that Jamie saw sometime at one point in the comic, Jamie explains that he has a hard time remembering things, if he truly did it or not, or if it was one of his clones when he absorbs them through the years. He doesn't really know what his memory or not. And that comes a bit into play here, I guess, because at one night when he accidentally creates a dupe, he sleeps with two of his team members at the same night. And he doesn't remember which one slept with the dupe and which one slept with him.
I mean, if if the clone goes back to you, it's still kind of like you slept with both of them.
But so, in the right path of this picture here, you see that he slept with Monette. And when she finds out that he slept with another team member and that what he thinks she slept with the dupe, she becomes really angry at him. The other Therese also gets angry at him, but there happens a bit more with that, because when she gets over this anger she has for him, she realizes that she is pregnant with his child. And when she finally gives birth to their child, when Jamie touches him, he absorbs him, because that was his dupe
Oh my
child.
god!
And so that was never really a child to begin with, the comics explained.
Wait, okay, but let's go back. You said that one of the clones had a son as well, like he was a priest, right?
Yes.
So did he interact with the kid? Could he theoretically also absorb the kid?
Do you remember that I said he touched the child?
Yeah, exactly.
What does that mean, Karol?
That he would not be absorbed. But why did he absorb the child now?
Think a little bit about this happy couple of three we see here.
Okay.
So if he touched the child, he would have absorbed it, but he didn't. What does that mean, Karol?
That the priest's son was an illegitimate child, or not his child.
Yes. That was apparently something that they talked about in their relationship when he discovered that.
I mean, he could also have just met a single mom.
Well, from what the comic wants you to think, I feel like they want you to think that they knew each other at that time. They were together.
So, how does our main character feel about slurping the baby?
Well, he doesn't feel great at all about it, to be honest. He has a little bit of a crisis about it, and as you can see on the picture, she is not very happy as well.
Yeah, Dad, he just killed her baby. She wouldn't be exactly ecstatic about this.
Yeah, so she is really angry at him, and that kind of leads into another story, and well, they eventually become friends and things like that again, because this is a comic. But yeah,
it's hilarious.
That's kind of one of the wild shits that happens in this comic.
Oops. Oops. Shit. I kind of jumped ahead a little bit, but I pretend I haven't seen any of it.
I said that you shouldn't do that, but okay. So, to the story arc that I'm going to explain, this was kind of like 4 comics or something like that, but in one of their investigation cases, there comes a mysterious woman that wants them to track down a troll, Pip the Troll, that we saw a bit, that I explained a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. This is kind of his introduction. So him and Therese Cassidy, the mother of his unborn child, They track down the troll and give and kind of deliver him to her, but they kind of feel bad about it when they realize that it's Hela, queen of hell, and how terrified Pip the troll looks. So they decided. So they decided to, if we switch slides, they decided to follow them to the place where they heard them talk about, which was Las Vegas, because she apparently has some stronghold there of some kind. So, the team goes to Las Vegas to save Pip the troll. So what kind of happens is that to try to lock her out, they decided to use Longshot's luck in all the games to try to make some commotions that eventually works, and so she sends out some ghost Vikings.
Why Ghost Vikings?
You know, because it's Hela is a character from the Thor series, and the Thor series is based on Asgardian.
No. I think I okay.
Nor,
Okay, I
Nor,
think I get
Norse
it. I think I
Norse
get it.
Norse mythology.
Okay, because I was just thinking that's incredibly random to just put undead Vikings, but if she is connected to like Thor and to Norse mythology, it makes sense.
So yeah, that kind of happens, and so if we go to the next slide, they eventually through their kind of trip in Las Vegas meet Thor. So, and he decides to help them and take them to Hela, where they find Pip the troll. And when they get into this other dimension, Hela kind of quickly gives them the troll, but in a little bit of a twist, they can't go out in the same way they come in, but they need to go to this winter path with a lot of different monsters which they need to defeat. And as you know, this is kind of a trap. They are not supposed to get out of this so easily. So Jamie Madrox and Sync kind of devise a plan where Jamie Madrox is kind of talking to Hela and enjoying her by saying the only reason you made this complicated plan is because you wanted Thor to come here because you're interested in him or something like that. And she becomes angry at him. So when she is going to attack him, Sync absorbs
Hela.
her kind of power and adapts to counter attack it. So he becomes kind of a god of death in some kind of way, or his power at least. So he kind of defeats Hela with that power, but at the same time it kind of makes him having different thoughts, so he kind of leaves the team after this story.
So how does it exactly work? For example, he now adapted to the feeling Hela, which is in a way still a little bit like it was kind of the way for the writers to have like an answer to everything, I feel like. So if he leaves Hela now, does he keep the powers or will he readapt once he's like in the city?
He kind of keeps a part of the power from what I understand of this little bit of a story, and he kind of has them throughout the rest of the comic book run, but it isn't like he can fully use them in some way, I guess. Or maybe he can. You don't really see him use them again, at least.
Interesting.
If you a little bit of a funny thing for just me is if you read the one to the right down, a little bit of a
Niflheim, a Swedish black metal band? Yeah, well, Go argue with a Swede.
So, little bit of a Swedish thing there, which kind of always fun for me when you see something like that.
So, if we were to start a black metal band or like heavy metal band, what would we be called?
I think this is a real. Oh, what would we be
Yeah,
called?
because I already have an idea.
The Ultra Media or the Ultra Bubble Rock Band.
I mean, so it would be like a mixed media punk metal band and podcast duo
With
with
bubbles.
bubbles as a theme, but they're like really metal and hard. I
Yeah.
was thinking like something like more like Meat Machines. Oba.
Yeah, maybe. Well, so if we go to the next slide, Carol. What I've done here is take a little bit of a future thing that happens to all of the characters in this series. Something that you want to ask me about when you watch some of these?
There's a wolf girl or boy. Our main character has become a dragon, and someone has been dipped in some pink paint.
Yeah, so these are kind of something that happens to all the different characters. One thing that you might notice that in Layla's place something has happened to her.
Which one is it on the screen? Tell me, because I'm looking.
Layla, she's the one left down.
Okay, is that Wolverine next to her?
Yeah, but that's not the detail that I was thinking about. When I talked about Layla before, she was a kid. Is she that anymore?
I don't know, man. They grew up so fast. No, but she looks like an adult.
Yeah, there kind of happens a time traveling thing in this series which makes her grow up. Which, if you kind of remember that thing I said about her predicting that she will get together with Jamie.
Okay, so tell me, how would our main character turn into a dragon person, demon man?
Well, I can answer that question by turning to the next slide, Carol.
And also, big man, strong man, he turned into a demon.
Yeah, so in the last arc to end this whole series, the creator decided to have to end this with something that he called the Hell War, which was kind of a lot of different Hell character throughout Marvel's history, having a war against each other of who can control or be the leader of Hell.
Yeah.
So and they decided to have a competition about this, and so Mephisto, who is one of the Devil Lords, has a daughter who comes and warns and tries to warn the gang about this and tries to kill Wolfbane's son, who she has had throughout this series. And why she wants to kill the son is because she wants to do that before the Hell War begins. Because when the Hell War begins, it will be total chaos on the world and will probably destroy Earth. So she kind of tries to prevent that because the wolf child,
Yeah.
he became the 77th million person to be born, and they see that number as a significant thing of whoever kills that person becomes the ruler of hell.
That's so dumb. I'm sorry. No, I think it's incredibly funny, and like when you really think about it, like he just landed on the 6666661. But I also get like they probably made it work in the comic. It's just so funny to me.
Uh,
Like I love the idea.
so so what happens in this end story is that Mephisto, instead of killing the wolf boy, he kind of just kills the other lords of hell. So he kind of after that tells himself that now I'm the ruler of hell without killing the boy.
Very kind of him.
Yeah. So how they throughout the stories they notice that the wolf boy is the only one that really can kill these hell creatures. So they are kind of trying to get to Mephisto's castle, or what you can call it, so the wolf boy can kill
How
Mephisto.
old is the boy again? Don't tell me like 12, because that's a lot of responsibility for a child.
Well, he's not 12, maybe around. Well, he if we're talking about maturity age, then he might be 7 or 8. But if we talk about birth age, then he's maybe uh,
Can
4 months or something like that.
what?
Yeah, he is born kind of in this comic book run. Well, what happens is that throughout this thing that is happening, Jamie gets turned into a demon, and he can't really get away from this demon kind of shape. And it's kind of weird because this is the final arc, and the main character is not really used that much in it, because he pretty much is in that form the whole arc. So what kind of happens in the end is, while the wolf boy is defeating Mephisto, Guido, or strong guy that you see there, kills the wolf boy so he can become Lord of Hell.
I mean, what? No, that's pretty bad. You shouldn't kill a child. Like, even Lord of Hell would stop himself from killing a child.
No, he wouldn't. That was the competition, don't you remember?
No, but you said, like, oh, I'm gonna, like, some other guy said, like, oh, I'm gonna kill the demon lords, but not kill the child.
They were trying to kill the child.
Okay, well, I guess some people can bring themselves to kill a child.
It was just kind of hard to kill the child because the child usually killed them.
But, okay, so he killed the child, and then what happens?
Well, he becomes the Lord of Hell, and the reason why he wanted to become the Lord of Hell suddenly, he kind of went through a dark path, you can say, throughout this comic book run. He starts as a really good guy, and then he loses his soul in some kind of way.
Just a smidge bad.
And when he loses his soul, he kind of becomes, he doesn't really feel that he does anything bad, really, with the exception of his feeling for Monette. And when Monette is killed in a battle between him and Monette, he becomes the Lord of Hell, so he can
bring her back.
So he can bring her back, so she is alive again. But now he is the Lord of Hell, and by killing the son of Wolfsbane. And that's kind of how the final arc ends in some way. We get a few other comics later on which explain where every character in the run goes after what happens to them after this event. Like the main characters, Madrox and what was her name now? You know, the one that I was talking about getting married?
Yeah.
Layla.
Yeah?
Yeah, they, at the last comic book, they, with the help of Siren, Therese Cassidy, she managed to some way release him from this demon form. And they decide to, when he is free from that demon form, to kind of not reopen the agency, and kind of just, because Layla has gotten pregnant, so they kind of just decide to live in a house and raise a family together.
Honestly, a downgrade for the demon boyfriend, but I mean, people like what they're like.
Well, he isn't a demon anymore.
But he should have been. Anyway.
Well, you got the Lord of Hell.
I know.
At least.
But the demon, two demons is always better than one. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what point I want to make.
Some other stuff that happens in one of these last comic books is that we get to know that Longshot and Shadowstars are each other's dads.
How does that work?
I don't really know myself, but Longshot Birds gets together with a female X-Men, or one female X-Men character, and they have a child together, but none of them remember this child because Shadowstar erased the memory from their minds, and they kind of take the child and travels him to the future, and Shadowstar's DNA later on is used to create Longshot. Yeah. Well, so that was kind of my explanation and kind of, I guess, a little bit of an insight of why I enjoyed this run so much. A lot of different weird shit happens in it, but it still have heart and serious tone mixed with jokes and weird scenarios.
You know, I'm so gonna use the plot of him being, of the Wolf Boy being like the 6,666,666th person to be born, to be like cursed.
Well, he wasn't. He was the number over it.
He was the number over it, so he was a 66667.
No, he was the 7th million child born.
It's so dumb, but I love it with every piece of my being.
So, Karol, what did you feel about me explaining this comic book to you?
I mean, it was interesting. It makes sense for me. Why you would like the series? Because it has like a relatable main character. It, like, I think I might get into it myself, maybe, if I have a free moment. Like, I just love weird stuff.
Yeah, well, that's your choice. I kind of just explain at least why I like this series so much. Spoilers, I guess.
45-minute mark, and you're saying spoilers. Nice job.
I should probably have explained that a little bit earlier.
No, I think our listeners know what they got themselves into. They wouldn't click here otherwise.
Well, but that's kind of why this is one of, as I said, my favorite superhero comic book runs, I guess you can call it. I don't know, I enjoyed the ride from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, I think it's actually nice of the series to, as you said, like have a definitive beginning, middle, and end. Because sometimes the best stories have to end. They can't just keep going forever. Home stuff.
So, and we unfortunately can't keep going on forever. So,
but we'll try, just not in this episode.
So, as always, thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this as much as we have. Don't forget to follow, hit that bell icon, or follow us on socials like Twitter. See you again in the next episode, and have a wonderful day.
Goodbye.
Oh, and by the way, I would probably give this comic book 9 out of 10.
Amazing. Goodbye.